Well, I already know we had a series beforehand, but it's been a long 3 weeks for myself, 2 for Cash, since we've been able to bring you guys on-air talent, and of course the games here at the CCL, but back on the Bravo stream, we're here for the BGSU Falcons, of course, versus Trine Esports. We did just see Trine Esports clutch up in a game 5, so that was awesome. But my name is McCormill, with me is Cash. Cash, it feels good to be back.
It feels great to be back. Like you said, it's been a couple of weeks for both of us at least, and I'm ready to get things rolling tonight. I'm so glad to be back on the desk.
Well, as we'll go ahead and take a look at both of these teams, just talking briefly about the entire scope of the series, more importantly than anything else, this is a match that is for strictly LCQ seeding. Neither of these two teams can make an out-of-qualification playoff spot being in the Tier 2. However, being able to finish at the top of Tier 2 is going to be very, very influential on not only how you're able to finish the season out, but playing relatively quote-unquote worse teams in the LCQ, the higher up, should give you an easier road to the playoffs.
It should, and having a look at records here, as we were kind of talking beforehand, this is a very good matchup to depict how, teams bottom of Tier 1, top of Tier 2 are going to play. This will give us great insight to that, and having a look at these records and everything. On paper, giving it a glance over, Bowling Green definitely edging out Trine, especially in the control. That's really the one that sticks out here, and that's a mode for Bowling Green, where if they're not already ahead in the series, that's when they can definitely use to really twist it and swing it in their favor. So expect them to shine there. But for Trine, I mean, you keep things close in the hard point and in the search and destroy. Those could really go either way. You're coming off of a hot game 5 win, so they could come out blazing here.
Yeah, for Trine specifically, inside their last game, it was the first S&D that they actually lost 4-6. Unfortunately, at the very end of the game, they did have a substantial lead that their opposition was able to go ahead and come back on. So U of Louisville, unfortunately, do lose that game 5, but Trine will move on here. On the opposite side, though, for Bowling Green, they do also come off of a nice series win for themselves. It was a hot 3-0 on the Alpha stream, now being brought down here onto Bravo. Let's go ahead and meet the side of Bowling Green, see their roster if you weren't watching on the Alpha stream beforehand. Overall, this is a team that has a lot of composure, but more importantly, has a lot of moving pieces to really make some noise come playoff time. So Evade, Solar, Apollo, and Hazy, that is going to be the roster, and it rounds out that 4-man group. Overall, Cash, thoughts on this roster going into this match?
Like you said, they can all move around and fit the mold where they need to, depending on the matchup that they're in. Obviously, Solar and Evade, they generally lead the squad night in and night out across all modes. But as you mentioned, any 4 of these players can step up and have a big night for the team. They can all do whatever's asked of them.
It's going to be a tough task to take down this Trine roster again. Playing for seeding in the LCQ is the most important thing here. You want to try and finish as high up as humanly possible. Obviously, both of these teams winning their previous matches before going ahead and facing off here against one another is going to be big. But overall, the roster for Trine Esports, bit of a change-up after spring break. Noble, Money, and Calamity, they'll all stay together. But Marissa comes up from the Academy roster. She looks to be an influential and impactful player on this Trine Esports roster that really needed another heavy-hitting Slayer.
Yeah, call it a honeymoon phase. Maybe we'll get a glance of tonight or anything. But going into playoffs, you want to get as much of that chemistry built. Obviously, coming off of the Game 5 win that they have, things are working well enough to get that win. So you just want to look to see them build on the success they found. Obviously, making that change. They've seen something in Marissa on the Academy team that they need here. And I'm excited to see them grow going into playoffs with the squad.
Playoffs on the mind of everybody here. Again, 2 weeks left in the regular season of the CCL. We lead into the last chance qualifiers here very, very soon. 18th and 19th of April is when we start the last chance qualifiers overall. So keep those notes and dates in the back of your mind. And just remember to stay tuned to College COD, at College COD on Twitter, and of course following the Alpha and the Bravo channels. It's going to allow you to watch everything College COD over the next few weeks as we obviously get into playoffs, but of course get closer and closer to crowning a champion for the season of the CCL. Overall, though, home keys to victory. Talking about Bowling Green, Cash, really, you kind of hit it on the head earlier when we were looking at the head-to-head, but control really is going to be the mode, statistically speaking at least, over Trine Esports that you'd love to be favored in. You are favored in, again, just looking at the base statistics on paper. Does that change, though, with Trine Esports coming off with momentum and potentially having worked on things since spring break?
It doesn't. You need to stick to your game plan, of course, and expect them to come out hot and, know that just like you've been working on things, they've been doing that as well. So you have to be ready to make adjustments, of course. That's kind of one of the more repetitive things in COD is how well can you adjust as a team. But also for Bowling Green, it's still building on their weaknesses as well. But you want to really have the focus be your strong suits. That's why we were talking so much about that control.
Yeah, Hardpoint is going to be one of those things to watch for as well for Bowling Green. Again, both of these teams, at least again on paper, should be relatively similar in overall performance when it comes to Hardpoint. But again, that map 3 is really where the magnifying glass has to come out if you are trying to shut down a strong opponent, specifically come playoff time. Because again, one of the things that I really want to see teams start to harp on and really hone in on is how good they are going to be in some of the worst struggling modes that they have for themselves come playoff time. Because you got to remember, top of tier 2, you're probably going to be playing some of the bottom maybe feeder teams out of tier 1, because those bottom 4 teams aren't going to auto qualify for playoffs. But you're also going to be playing some of those bottom tier 3 teams where theoretically you should have the upper hand advantage on them. But some of them are going to come out and surprise a lot of people as well, maybe with some late season roster changes that could come into effect. Obviously, that's all speculation, so we'll talk about that a little bit more once we start to get there in the next few weeks. But taking a look at our overall map set, we go to map number 1 on Bacage. We'll get Mixie there in the beautiful, beautiful mud of the map, oh so familiar to most people. Search and Destroy on Desert Siege for map 2. We go to Tuscan, Berlin, and Tuscan to finish out this best of 5 series. Of course, 4 and 5, should we need to get there, are going to round us out. But Cash, overall, this is, at least to me, starting to feel like a potential 5-game series, if not 4 at the very end of it. But hopping into it, the Falcons off to a quick start. They've gotten themselves into P1. They start to look to push out that right portion of the minimap. Evade's going to be able to find a nice couple of shots there. 2 and 2 already for Apollo and Solar.
Looking to keep this left-hand side secured for Bowling Green. Solar and Apollo on 2 and make that actually both 3 streaks, so something they definitely want to start playing around here as they look to press out and zone out beyond this P1, keep Trine spawning on that far right-hand side of the map as they look ahead to P2. But 25 seconds off P1 is definitely something good. Not only that, but you've kept Trine off of it for the entirety, so very clear advantage going over to P2. You get a good strong hold off of P1. Now it's just getting a money hill hold here, and if you're Trine, got to try to find a way to spawn. A couple of slow starts, but as you make your way over here, at least you got access to the barn.
Starting to make their way in. 2 arrows inside of the barn. The white arrows of Trine Esports looking to hold over towards P2. Maybe make this break stick. Hayes going to be able to find the first one. That's going to be a 3-1 trade here for the Falcons. That's going to be the last 4. Everybody down now. You can go ahead and soak up the rest of this P2 time. Everybody starts to make their way up the map, cut off a few of the lanes. Solar, money, 1 versus 1. Solar's going to win it handily. 33-0 here with 35 seconds left. Right now, if you're Trine Esports, you're just trying to stop the bleeding.
In Bowling Green, they have everything covered. You just let Solar kind of run around and be that roaming slayer out in front of the zone just to cut those players off spawn, make it that much harder of a hike on this relatively small map. But Trine, as players fall for Bowling Green, are able to at least contest, but still have not found a second of time in this game. This may be their opportunity once they realize that they do have a 4 down finally, and they will look to get a second or 2, but that's going to be quickly answered by Bowling Green, who are thinking about the rotation, have the last 5 seconds of scrap time, aren't even going to contest the hill once more. We'll look to push through and get ahead, so Trine, they've got a hit come in, and they've already lost 1 on transition, so they need to get a big hold here.
Oh, player number 3 goes big in the back. Squad spawns are actually going to allow the Falcons to spawn all the way behind Trine Esports. So what was a great hold and a beautiful rotation from them falls short here. 45 seconds left in the hill, only 15 seconds ticked off, but it was only 10 that the Falcons needed to break on in towards P2. So as Solar's going to be able to find the second in a row, you look to push out the map yet again. Tries to turn, but Calamity goes ahead and pops for 2. Apollo still inside of the hill at 6 and 6. Started off pretty decently hot. Has slowed it down just a bit, but again, on Bacage, anything can happen. You can heat up at any moment.
And this is still a relatively close game. We're still so early on. Of course, for Bowling Green, you're trying to get most of this work done early. Get the lead extended out as far as you can. That way, if Trine tries to mount, a last-minute comeback, it might just be too much for them. So they're doing a great job at that. This lead extended now out to over 60 points. They lost the rotation to P3. They're looking to make that over to P2, but Trine is here once again. They've got to try to find a way to hold on, and that goes with being more map spread and finding more of these lanes and getting them covered. They're playing a little bit off the back foot here and right out of spawn, but as I say that, Apollo, he's on a route to try to wrap out for P3.
Kill pops. Marissa will find the first kill there. Everybody's starting to make their way back around. At least early on here in Bacage, Marissa at 9 and 7. Made a substantial impact on the roster. Unfortunately, it hasn't really equated to all that much in terms of hill time and, of course, points to go ahead and score, but as they get back in towards the point now. It's going to be Hayes and Solar who go ahead and pair for 2. So you look to the mini-map, 2 arrows still going to be there. Reinforcements are going to be in, but they should be a bit delayed. If you're Evade, you just have to hold on for time now. Calamity out toward the right side. Once again, you're just trying to push out for different lanes, setting up for the next rotation, which will be over towards P5. But getting the rest of the scrap time here on P4 can be at least some sort of an effective tactic when you start talking about the P5 rotation, just because of how easy it can be to swarm over towards that point. You just got to make sure you're pushing out those back spawns. Luckily enough, Trine Esports, they'll spawn on that right portion of the map.
And they're looking to have some more footing here, now closing this deficit to about 40 points. Player 2, Innovate, has slipped through tunnel now, ready to get a quick contestation on this hill, at least get the players killed off and start to turn some heads. Popping 2 is definitely going to help, but it's Marissa and Moneylaw locking things down in the back to at least keep the presence off of the hill. And that's what they've been improving on as the game's gone on. They're cutting these players down for Bowling Green, at least keeping them off the hill, trying to get the time here and there. But I guess winning that first battle is keeping them off the time, and they're doing just that.
Money trying to push out the back. Spawn's going to be there yet again for Trine. 3 going to go down. The Falcons trying to go ahead and slide back in. All 4 across the map. The spawns will come in. So now you got to work your way back across the map. Here's the thing, though. Obviously, 20 seconds left. You're going to start thinking about those P1 rotations. Cash, in your mind, is it worth playing the last 15 seconds of P5?
It is, just because it's just, to me, that feels more like a mental thing, right? Like pushing them off and being like, yeah, you tried to go for it and we still were able to bully you off of it. So it's just kind of that little mental check in the game where it's like, if we still win in this hill, we can get it. Of course, that only gives them a handful more points, like you had mentioned. But sure, it's early on, so it's worthwhile to go for that. Now, again, your lead's back out to 40.
A1, Mixie. Couple seconds ticked off the clock. Marissa trying to come from behind. Going to be able to get some nice automaton shots in the back. So 14 and 11, 103 to 69. Falcons trying to extend their lead yet again, still looking to make a comeback. It's been substantial enough thus far. P4 and 5 really started to lock it down for Trine. That's where they found themselves, at least in a comfortable margin, to be able to find their way back into this game. It's still going to take some gumption and a little bit of elbow grease to get back into it, but at the end of the day, with a 110 to 71 performance right now, you're only down by 40 points, and a P2 hold might be exactly what the doctor ordered.
And they can do just that. They set themselves up well for it, but every time I have a look at this mini-map, it's Apollo, who maybe doesn't have the most impressive stat line, but I mean, a minute of hill time and is always making routes to try and secure spawns for the squad. So until Trine can start to sniff out these players and cut them off before they can be problematic for spawns, I expect Bowling Green to continue growing this lead. Now you can see heads turn. They are ready for this. Evade does get cut down. They're holding it down on the hill as well. A clean 4 down, at least 4 for 1 in the feed. That's what Trine needed to respond with in order to keep a good hold. They hold off the first wave.
It was nice all the way in the back. You know, you get the player that's flanking, you get those last 2 players that are trying to straggle on through, and now you have barn control, so you can start making your way once again throughout the map. All the way in the back, Calamity will find Evade, Apollo will fall as well, so it's a nice 3-to-1 trade. Solar's going to start making the way up the map. They're going to go for number 2. You start firing over towards the left. You're going to see player number 3 over towards the right. Maybe, just maybe, you win that gunfight, but you do enough to allow the teammates to start making their way forward. You break on in through the front. Sure, it took you 30 seconds, but 10 of those seconds was nice contested time that Trine is not going to have. Get their way back into this game even further as we set up for P3, but guess who is on the rotation? It's the Falcons.
They lost this rotation the last time around, and they were able to get spawns on the right-hand side and still get most of this time, though it was fairly contest-heavy. They're going to look to have a more clean hold and setup here, but player 7 and Moneylaw does have a chance to pop a couple kills. Is going to try to do just that, and is able to, so now the reinforcements come in. They have the right-hand side spawns. Now it's just a matter of slaying at the hill and trying to get more of this time. This lead is now within 30.
Making their way back. You got to look for Apollo, though. So sneaky all the way through, trying to influence the spawns for the Falcons. Maybe able to clean up the prey here as they start to make the pinch all the way back around the hill. Money reads it perfectly. That's going to clear everybody out of the back line. Solar now trying to make a flank, though, is going to be able to find one. Pops out for 2. Back in towards the kitchen. Evade is there to help on out. 3 in a row. You stay alive in the left side corner, and now the rest of the team can really start to make their move back across the map. We're going to set up here for P4 in just a moment, but the Falcons do a beautiful, make that spectacular job at keeping Trine out of the hill for the majority of the time there, not allowing the momentum to swing in their favor even further.
And that's what's so tough about this Bowling Green squad is, yeah, you mentioned how Moneylaw was able to sniff out Apollo on the route trying to get in through P3 window, but it was Solar popping kills in the hill. There's just so much to deal with this team when they're firing on all cylinders, and now the lead is growing back out once again. They're able to win the rotation to start, and this is exactly what Bowling Green needs to do to find success. You need to have someone running routes to turn heads, and then you can trust your Slayers and Solar and Evade to really go crazy in the kill column for you. Once again, Solar pops 2 in the feed. They're trying to get their way in, but the slaying a bit too much.
Noble in the back was trying to make something happen, but realized there was nobody else there to make a play, so starts making the way up the map. Calamity with 2. Noble's going to slide in around the corner. The contest is there. Apollo tries to snap onto the last one, but it is Trine who break in again. Cash, one word describes this: manageable from Trine. However, the Falcons have done a great job of being able to break into these hills late, find the rest of the scrap time. Can Evade go big with 1? Looks for the second, snaps on the 2. Now can fly all the way out of the hill. Do you turn around? Oh, he reads it perfectly.
And Trine, they're looking ahead at the P5 rotation. So Bowling Green, they're still fighting for good bits of scrap time. Of course, they did have the left-hand spawn, so they still had to work through it anyway. But Trine, they're looking to get a little more set up for P5 once again. They did a good job getting a decent bit of time, but again, keeping Bowling Green off, that was the focus the last time around. This time, if you're Bowling Green, you're going to try to get a more clean setup. That starts having Evade at that tank position, cutting these players off spawn, letting your Slayers work in the hill. That's exactly what to do. They're in early.
Marissa turns around, but Noble's there for the help from behind, so you don't get slayed out in the back. Evade now trying to make a play yet again, has been so good with the MP40 here on Bakash. Submachine guns home. Apollo making it his once again. You know, Apollo started off really hot. It was like 6-1, something like that. You know, 17-27. You do have the most kill time overall on the team, but again, it's really that little kickstart at the beginning of the game that allows the rest of the team to start getting going. Maybe you hear a little scream like, "Oh, dude, let's go. We got this. Everything's flowing. The blood is going." And now the Falcons just 60 seconds away from being able to take map 1 of Bakash. The only thing that we have to worry about now is at minute 7. Should it come into play? It's here nor there, but we'll see later on as we start getting closer.
And Trine have slowed down since the mid-game, letting this lead extend back out to 40 points, as you had said. Bowling Green, the slang is really turned up for them. I mean, Evade and Solar going blow for blow here at 37 and 38 kills apiece, having their way flying around the map and just letting people like Apollo, like you were saying, soak up that hill time. But what I like is a switch up where he can go and hit a route if he needs to. Right now, he's just being a sponge in P1. Letting his teammates, trusting them to run around and get the kills. Trine, their heads are on a swivel and they're not finding anything. It is 4 down after 4 down and the feed. Bowling Green, they are now within 40 points of winning this.
Evade making it look like slight work. 41 and 40 from Solar alike, respectively. Both of these teammates having incredible games thus far. Calamity somehow is able to win that gunfight, but Apollo is waiting steadily over towards the right side, back into the double doors. Money Law, Marissa, the last 2 alive. You look to push through the middle of the map. There was a sense of urgency from Trine beforehand. If that's not ever more clear now, I don't know what is. Apollo's going to be there at the bottom of the barn. Money Law will turn around for 1, but it's going to be a 3-2 trade. Hayes was on 5, gets cut down. This Trine who have themselves the rotation, so I guess if there's any consolation prize, it's the fact that you now can play from the outside in.
And I guess to shoot that down quickly is you let the lead get back out to nearly 100 points, now 80, but with 25 seconds left on the game clock, you had mentioned that possibly coming into effect, and we are going to see that now. It's not really been contested, more so than just people not being on the hill, but as we see Trine having to soak up every second of this, Bowling Green having the win condition set, they are just trying to get to the hill. Trine Esports, not only do they have to hold the rest of this time and keep Bowling Green off it, but they have to get their way over to P3 if they want to stay alive here. And Apollo, when he's doing things like that, it can be hard.
Jumps around the corner, Calamity in Trine, trying to do everything that they possibly can to stay in the game here. However, you gotta touch the point. There's only 14 seconds left on the game clock. That's your worst friend right now. That's your enemy. Your enemy of your enemy is your friend. And right now, the Falcons, they are loving that clock running down. Solar's gonna pop yet another 2-piece. 45 for Evade, 44 for Solar. Right now, it's a prize fight match between them. They're trading blows here on Bakash, not with the other team, but with each other. 47 for Evade, 3 more. You'll cross that 50-point mark, and it's not going to be a CCL record or anything like that like we saw in the CCL, but hey, Solar's going to pop another 2-piece. Why not get these last few kills? 4 seconds left. The Falcons, a spectacular map number 1, will put them on top of the series early on. A 1-0 lead here after map number 1 sails in their way.
For me, the advantage came so obviously for Bowling Green, like you mentioned, Apollo start, and then really started hitting those routes. Trine, they sniffed it out in the mid game. We saw on that second set of rotations for P3, whenever they sniffed that one out, that was fine, and they made that adjustment well. Unfortunately, you have Evade and Solar dropping almost 80 engagements on the map, and that's hard to deal with because usually you find the route man and handle that, and then the slang you're going tick for tick. That wasn't the case here. Whenever they sniffed out the route man, the slaying turned up to a level they couldn't even, they had to focus solely on that, and by then it was way too late. I mean, 47 and 31, 47 and 30, 36 non-traded kills. That's the story right there for me.
Oh, absolutely. And, I look at these statistics in Vanguard, and like at the beginning of the year, I didn't necessarily trust every statistic on there because there were some shaky things here and there. But I mean, it's the same thing now. I don't know if that's the exact non-traded kills, but I have to imagine that it is. And to only have 11 kills that were traded out for Evade, I mean, it makes sense with the amount of two pieces that Evade and Solar were having back and forth between one another. But I think another big story of the game is obviously they shared hill time a considerable amount, but 2 minutes and 19 seconds in the hill, seldom anymore, at least at the higher level of Call of Duty, do you see a player soak up 2 minutes in the hill directly by themselves. And that's just a testament to knowing that, hey, I might have started out hot, didn't finish the same way that I started, and I'm just going to soak up hill while the rest of my teammates are slaying out, because when you have two people dropping base 47s and it not even having that be the EKIA, I mean, that within and of itself is a spectacular storyline for map number 1. So, BGSU, I mean, we came into this saying, hey, those two players were going to be the slaying factors. They absolutely were yet again. Trine Esports now on the back burner. And Cash, kind of alluding to what you said earlier on, you have a 2-0 lead if you're the Falcons going into map number 3. It's going to be a scary place to be. Yep. How do you react now if you're trying?
I think if you're trying, you definitely take this change of pace. I mean, that was so fast. I mean, even just switching perspectives from the production side of it, every time you look, Evade 2, Solar 2, like, it just seems like no matter what perspective you were on, people were just getting rinsed. And so that's really hard to keep up with. You go to something like Desert Siege where, okay, routes aren't as far as S&D maps go, with the outer lanes of the map being more open, you're not going to be as worried about routes. Sure, you have to keep them in mind as the mid-game goes on, but maybe you keep in mind, hey, you know what? The routes maybe slow down from Apollo. We just need to, again, trade out those kills. That be in the first bloods, that be throughout the round. Keep the slaying close. Keep yourself within striking distance of this Bowling Green squad, because you come off of a hard point like that, you're going to be hard to take down in the S&D. And for Trine, as you were asking, that definitely starts with trading out first bloods, at least going more even in the kill column.
Yeah, I think you made a really good point there, because you can even build a column off of that and say, okay, for Trine, with an open lane map, you just want to sit back on your pre-aims. That's completely fine, because where you were getting beat out was that fast-paced aggression from the Falcons. So specifically for Marissa, she had a great map number 1 there through the majority of it. Where I want to see that continuing to map 2 is, okay, with that AR that you were finding a lot of success with on Bacage, which obviously doesn't happen all that much, especially against a team that's been in your face the entire time. Now you have the opportunity to get your squad going like Apollo did beforehand, especially coming off of the Academy roster, now one of the main roster. This is one of those breakout S&D maps where Marissa could absolutely pop off, tie the series up 1-1, obviously not by herself, but with the rest of the team being able to pile on behind, it's going to be that much easier for the Trine Esports roster to really get things going. So the Thunder here in map 2 are looking to tie things up at 1 apiece. Again, as Cash said beforehand, when you look at the trends, it's that map 3 for Bowling Green that really solidifies the series over Trine. The control record is just night and day between both of these rosters. You don't want to go down 0-2 into a control if you're Trine Esports. You look to change that here. Try to go for the first blood there. Evade's going to be able to win the one-on-one. Money Law will come on in with the MP40 to clean things up. It's a clean 1-1 back and forth as the bomb goes down a B.
You trade out the first bloods, you get the bomb down on offense. This is a very good start for Trine. Now, you only give BGSU in a 3v3 retake 35 seconds to work with to try and get over to the site and get these kills. So, like you said, 2 players in the back. That's going to be Noble and Marissa just holding those pre-aims, waiting for these plays. We're going to see Apollo hop the bomb. Solar's going to find the kill in the spawn, so now Noble in a tough situation and falls. Bowling Green wasting no time as far as the kills go. Get that round, but for Trine, you started off as well as you could. Unfortunately, whenever Bowling Green wanted to pounce, they did.
Nice little team ace there in the first round. This map specifically has given me nightmares over the last 2 days, Cash, because my mind has just been replaying the same scenario over and over again. As a Mutineers fan, being up 5-3 here, a chance to close out things in the game 5. Boys just didn't get it done.
As an Optic fan, I'll say deserved, and then I'll leave it at that.
I didn't expect casters to be trading blows like the teams were on Bacage, but you know what? That's okay. Friendly fire is accepted. Calamity, first blood. Nade going to be able to find the shrapnel into Apollo. Will fall here early on in the round. Nice little blood there from Trine. Last time it was a 1-for-1 trade over by the B site. This time, however, the bomb has worked its way over towards A. Bad news, though, for BGSU is that bomb is down and you don't have it in your hands just yet. So you're going to wait for this, try to make your way back on over. Calamity doesn't have it to pre-aim. You're going to be able to get information that they're still there with the bomb.
And I like how Trine are stacked in the mid-map because that can just be such a problem, especially for teams that play with so much aggression. Now, Bowling Green haven't given it that look yet, but I really liked how they're just ready for this rotation out of BGSU. They are making it. Players aren't completely aware yet, but with Calamity locking down that A side of the map, you know it's going to be a B hit. The bomb's going down. Let's see the adjustment come in. I like the route that Calamity's looking to take.
They're right next to each other. They have no clue, but if Aid is just going to play this slow, wait for a flank all the way around through the back spawn, will patience be rewarded? Find out next time on this episode of Law & Order. Money around the left side corner. Looks for the shots. Automaton going to be there, but the MP40 is going to commit manslaughter in the middle of the map. Hayes going to be back over towards the V site. Solar, 2 versus 4 scenario, trying to clutch here. Calamity around the corner is going to be able to trade that out. Technical 1 versus 4. You're going to be able to find the second. Hayes turns back around over towards the bomb. This is very, very doable. You're going to find the second one now. 1 versus 1. Marissa versus Hayes. 4 in a row, trying for streaks and a clutch here. Oh, Marissa's just going to get the best of it, but you win the round anyways. The technical 1 versus 4, sure, it doesn't come in the way of bullets, but it absolutely comes in the way of being able to play the map oh so perfectly. The Falcons somehow will find themselves a 2-0 lead. A 2 versus 4 turn 1v4 into a reluctant performance.
At least the win for Trine, you cut Hayes off of potential streaks, but a round that you very much had, as you had mentioned, in a 1v4 situation. Would have liked to have seen a quicker collapse. That's good on Bowling Green for playing their lives and playing around the information that they had so well. Trying a little slow on the response given the map positioning that they had, but they're going to look to get another quick B hit in, and it could be evade in this corner of the map against Calamity. A big gunfight going down for first blood, but 15 seconds into the map and Trine, they have the bomb down.
Stray shots. Miss left. The player all the way out towards that B site. 35 seconds left. Falcons have to go ahead and break this. It's going to be a difficult task. Get to push all the way up the map. You got to make sure the first player up is going to fall. At least get that kill. So the win condition is there. Apollo busts out the door. Double doors will get open. He's strolling into a ghost town. He's going to be able to find that first blood. Solar, yet another one. Tries to slide back around to the right. Okay, Solar, that's just disrespectful on every single level. I get Marissa's coming out of the academy, but that's a warm welcome into the actual CCL. Welcome, welcome. Enjoy your stay.
Their retakes are so strong. I mean, if you're trying, you've tried 2 rounds in a row to get the bomb down quickly, and yeah, that's been nice, but your post-plant setup has not. It's almost like, I mean, it seems like they're playing 2 predictable spots. Bowling Green, they fly out of those university doors and they wrap through the back spawn and just know exactly where Trine are sitting. Whether they need to sit more off angles, look to work at least a couple more picks before getting that bomb down. It is easy reads for Bowling Green at the moment, and for Solar, just having his way on the map, and definitely going to try to challenge Calamity here on this A site.
Always love a good sniper here on Desert Siege. Looks over towards the left, back towards the right. Nothing there just yet. Bomb is worked its way in towards the middle building. Have a route out towards A and or B. Players inside of the site. Apollo wants to run out. Doesn't know if he wants to do it just yet, but we'll give away the information of where this player is. Apollo actually sees Moneylaw down the staircase. Moneylaw won't read it. Apollo will be able to find the first blood. Escapes with the life back up top. So 4 versus 3 as we go. Second kill going to go to the hands of Evade. Multiple players streaking on the side of the Falcons. 45 seconds left in a 4v2.
Complete site control. Trine, they have to make magic happen. They haven't been trading out kills well since the first round, and it just seems like Bowling Green is playing 1 step ahead of them. Now Calamity left in a 1 versus 4. They know exactly where Calamity is. It's just a matter of time at this point. But for Bowling Green, they've been making great reads around the map. I don't know that it's, much crazier than that. Calamity is able to draw it down to 1v2, but I think the time's going to come to effect way faster than he can get these kills. Now just playing a little ring around the rosy. And for Trine Esports, again, I think on this offensive round going into it, try to find a pick or 2 before you get that bomb down, because Bowling Green's retakes have been too strong. And hey, decent effort out of Calamity for that one.
Look, I know people have been talking about the Volk. It's had a lot of buzz about it, but this rat pistol, I mean, it is ridiculous at some of the things that I've seen it do all year. I'm surprised that this pistol hasn't been GA'd over the course of the Vanguard year thus far, with how liberal people are with throwing the GA label on specific guns that are deemed too powerful or not competitive enough to put in the meta. So that one surprises me, but Calamity almost is able to get it done there. Unfortunately, unfortunate performances out of Noble and Marissa thus far here inside of the Desert Seed Search and Destroy. Maybe just not their map. Calamity, though, has no short sign of slowing down. Money Law in the middle of the map looking for maybe kill number 2. Multiple people lined up if able to find the trade, though, so they go back and forth. Apollo evade will for yet another kill. The Falcons have been rolling here on Desert Siege. There's no snow in sight, but if there was a figurative stand ball, it would be piling into mass destruction.
It most definitely would be. They know bombs down right outside here. About to collapse on the mid-map. Marissa might be able to find one. The trigger discipline there comes into effect and gives her a free kill, but there for the trade is Bowling Green. They go up 5-0, and coming off of the hard point, I don't expect anything less from Bowling Green. For Trine, it's just, again, the slaying, it's just too much. I said at the beginning, they have to effectively trade out in order to keep themselves in striking distance. You look at the slaying column, and well, that just hasn't been the case, as you had mentioned. Noble off to a slow start. Marissa, you said holding those pre-aims on this map could serve you well, but whenever Bowling Green, it's almost like a delayed aggression through the mid-map and through the flanks. It seems like their comms are on point, and they're having their way here.
Door's gonna open. Hi, my name is Solar. Welcome to my solo show, 6 in a row. Everybody else on the Falcons trying to pair around. Marissa will find yet another kill there, so at least you go ahead. Make things a 3 versus 2. Maybe a consolation prize of getting 1 round in the Desert Seed Search and Destroy. Have to be a full steal if Trine wants to go ahead and win this game. Minute left on the game clock. Another kill goes to the hand of the Falcons, so it makes it a 2 versus 2. Solar actually is behind one. Not sure if you're going to go ahead and read this perfectly, and you do. Full streaks, 7 in a row. Might as well call the glide bomb in to go ahead and close out the game here. It's a 2 versus 1 here in the end, and I believe that's exactly what he's going to do. Glide bomb over the top. Not going to find the kill. You get some information. Evade around the corner. 1 versus 1 to win it. A clean 6-0 sweep here on Desert Siege. Somebody, please, get Calamity some help.
Definitely there. It's, again, the same thing as the Bocage hardpoint, just in the search and destroy. The slang was too much, and then how many times were we on Solar's POV and he's running a route through the mid-map? I talked about how maybe the outer lanes aren't great for that, but once he can slip through enemy lines after coming out of mid, he's just he just popped so many kills there. It just seemed like the map awareness, like you said, maybe testing this one out, trying to expand the map pool. Nothing wrong with that going into playoffs, but definitely not their best showing here on Desert Siege for Bowling Green. If this is a map you were shaky on, you definitely feel strong. I don't think that's the case, but you have your way here. Go up 6-0, go up 2-0 in the series, and here we are at Control. I mean, I gotta say it's gonna be a 3-0 here, just based on how Bowling Green's been rolling tonight. They're just looking a bit too strong.
I mean, Cash, do you see any sort of trend starting to build here? Not in the way of Trine versus the Falcons, but specifically Evade versus Solar. They have gone toe-to-toe in maps 1 and 2. If there was a figurative MVP for the series, we'd have to wait until map 3 to be able to crown one player from Bowling Green that specific trophy and accolade. But map number 1, it was 48 and 47 specifically between both of them. Now here in the S&D, 8 and 3 and 8 and 1 between Evade and Solar. It's fun to see a team like this have a little competition, even if it is indirect against one another. But going into the Control, as you mentioned already, that Tuscan S&D that Tuscan Control is going to be an exclamation mark for Trine. One of the things that I kind of wanted to bring up at the very beginning, and we kind of get to touch on it very, very seldomly, was the fact of this is your time to work on things going into these last few weeks before the LCQ, and you need to be playing your best Call of Duty before we get into the LCQ if you want to make playoffs for Trine Esports. That starts here on Tuscan. So if you want to be able to set things straight, get your ball rolling forward, you've got to win a Control here against a team that has annihilated you thus far this series.
Yeah, and for Bowling Green, like you had said, I love the point you made where you're just trying to touch up on the things that you've needed to work on. This is a group that they've been in where, they find themselves at the top and they're sitting right there as well, but they're just a little bit edged ahead. And maybe with this roster change, they're still working out some kinks. Maybe they are expanding maps this series. Again, there's so much behind the scenes that we aren't sure of. But for Bowling Green, it's an impressive showing. Like you said, maybe even some inter-team competition going on. Just playing for a little bit of pride, right? Nothing wrong with coming back from spring break, trying to get a little chip on your shoulder, get some momentum going into the last couple weeks of regular regular season. But for Trine, you have to bounce back on a mode that Bowling Green should be able to take. Not saying it's not possible. They were able to push their previous series to a game number 5 and take that. So again, it's not over until it's over, but this is definitely one I'm not excited to gear up for. But what you just got to keep your head down, rally the troops and say, hey, we're going to give it our best go and focus on what we need to improve as a squad. Don't look at that we're down 0-2. Don't look at how the S&D went. Look at what we need to do to get better going into the rest of the season as a team.
Lightning has yet to strike. The Thunder have not gotten the ball rolling inside of the series just yet. A 2-1 lead for the Falcons. We'll come back after a quick break. When we do, we'll see a Tuscan control and potentially the conclusion of this series. My name is McCormill. With me, Cash. We'll be back in just a minute. Lopsided series so far, might you say, Cash?
Yeah, I'd say so. Just a touch.
It's been all the Falcons, none of the Thunder, but that looks to change potentially here in control. Biggest question mark, of course, being how Trine will come out into a map of control on Tuscan, giving their underwhelming performances not only in this series, but in the mode overall against teams here inside of Stage 2. Speaking of Stage 2, again, if you were wondering what these teams were playing for, well, let me go ahead and answer that question. Of course, this is for seeding in the LCQ. Neither of these teams can automatically qualify for playoffs. However, they can be one of the, I believe, 26 spots that's available out of the LCQ in order to find them way into playoffs in the West region. Again, that's all to be decided come the actual LCQ and, of course, the ending of Stage 2. But right now, both of these teams are looking pretty good and almost locks if they don't completely throw their seasons away for playoffs. But that's a story for a different time. Next week, we'll really dive into all the playoff scenarios for teams on stream. Right now, Cash, more important than anything else, the Falcons have been the better team by far and away. A 2-0 lead going into Tuscan control. I know I asked you this beforehand, but I'm going to do it again anyways. How does Trine counteract such an aggressive and fast-paced Falcons team that just has not stopped at all thus far?
It sounds like the most simple response, and you hear it said time and time again, but piecing everything together, we have seen glimpses, and not necessarily the search and destroy, but really going back to that hard point, we saw initially that they could keep up with the slaying. There in the mid map, they were in the mid map they were able to keep up with Bowling Green and really go toe for toe with them. They were really sniffing out the routes that Apollo was running. They were winning rotations. I'd say rotations were split pretty 50-50 there for that Bocage. And then, of course, the slaying took off for Bowling Green. Trine didn't have an answer for that, even though they were finding the routes Apollo was making. The slaying got to be a little bit too lopsided to where that didn't even matter. So they've had bits and pieces of it together. They've been able to slay and keep up. It's just a matter of having longevity in that. And of course, something like control gives you a little bit of a chance of that if you just can keep it from getting out of hand early. They've been rotating well. That's going to be vital for control from their offensive and defensive perspective. So for Trine, focusing on their positives, what have they done well this series? And you could look at the score lines and be like, oh, nothing much. But really looking at the games, they have been able to rotate well at times. They have been able to slay well. It's just having that put up at a consistent basis against a team this good, then start building on the little wins that you get throughout the map. So for me, it's keeping it simple for them. Just find what you've been doing well, build on that, take your little wins as you get them. Again, keep yourself, we put it in the keys of victory, but keep yourself within striking distance, whatever that looks like for them, whether that's in kills, whether that's in rounds. Do what you have to do to keep it close. We've seen them be able to do it. It just starts one round at a time.
Don't think I could have said that any better, Cash. Again, dipping into the brilliant mind of Cash when it comes to Call of Duty. 2-0 up, we load into Tuscan. Here's the thing, right? Obviously, in maps number 1 and 2, we have had a back and forth, if you will, between two players on the side of Bowling Green. Of course, that is Solar and Evade. Will they do the same thing here? Well, we'll find out. Top will be switched. Hayes will toss a nade over the top to try and open up the map. First blood going to go the way of the Falcons. Sorry, I fished for that first blood for so long. I really shouldn't have done that, but you know what? We're going to stick with it because that's exactly what we do. You just got to go with it. When things like that happen, you double down.
You double down. I love that. That's the corn that we love and know, and come to be a wonderful duo in this. And as we get through that first bit, we've got a stack here on A, and well, it's done. As I finish this sentence, Trine, they held on for a second, and now it's going to be a rotation over to B where they have to make a 2-minute long hold. Not something uncommon on Tuscan teams. Do it honestly more times than not. But again, Bowling Green, you see Apollo on 3 here to start. just the slaying. Got to keep it close. So far, they've done just that, only down 3 lives. You have the clock to work with. They have a decent setup for now. Bowling Green are going to be looking to hit this through P4, and now we see Trine making the adjustments. So it really depends on how these first interactions go. Bowling Green, they're grouped up, they're poised, they're ready to fly at this.
You come all the way back around through the spawns. Do you send 2 through the back? Do you send 2 to the church? Right now, you send a couple players on out. Marissa has found the first. You look potentially towards radio to see if you can find the second. However, all the way in the back, it's going to be Solar with the Volk on out. Apollo will find one as well. So you get the read that one's going over to the radio side. Rotation all the way through. This is where it gets very difficult, because if you are the Falcons, you've started to make your way in. Yeah, you've influenced the spawn, but when Trine spawning behind you, it just becomes this mixed bag of different marbles all jostling around for position, and you're just trying to pick out one to try and find a kill. Unfortunately, a team kill there from Noble onto Money Law is going to make this a bit more difficult, but with everybody else slaying around the back, it's a 2-2 trade.
Marissa cuts down Apollo in the back. He was on a 5 streak, so that could have spelled danger for Trine. They're able to find the players that they need. Solar does pop tube, and now it's going to be a quick hit coming in from Bowling Green as they have presence here on the site. Trine working their way back over to it. They're still trying to sniff out a couple players. Apollo's been running around in this alley L area, cutting players down. Solar as well, holding it down in the back, and have yet to collapse on the point, really, like you said, just trying to influence these spawns, get the complete control that they need. They don't have a ticket progression yet, but with time dwindling down, they're trying to do a bit of TDM, they're trying to get footing back here on defense.
I don't know if that was like a fat finger for a melee button or whatnot, or maybe just a panic, like, oh my god, I came around the corner. But I mean, right now, the Falcons have just dwindled down the lives of Trine Esports. I mean, untimely team kills multiple times already have really put a sour taste in the mouth on the defensive side here. And with a quadruple positive advantage in terms of the lives on Trine Esports, they don't even need to kill everybody outright. They'll just go ahead and hop on the point. So obviously, again, on a map like Tuscan, where defense is very, very strong, losing that many lives off the rip, giving up A that quickly, that again just leaves sour tastes in my mouth of what we're yet to see here in the rest of this Tuscan control, because Trine obviously have flaws, and they are being picked out like it's ripe strawberries in a nice field.
Very much being exposed from the side of Bowling Green. Solar on a 5 streak going into this round. If you're Bowling Green, you win the offensive round, great. Now you just hold on defense. But again, the problem we've been harping on this whole series is the slaying. Whenever Bowling Green decide to turn up, there's just nothing trying to be able to do to stop it. They've been able to stop it for bits and periods at a time. A 3 down here helps to get this A site cleared, but you know Bowling Green's going to have a response. That's where Trine has failed to come through, is making the adjustment that they need in order to counteract how aggressive and how fast this team's been playing. Kills in the feed have just been so dominant. Evade is a walking 2-piece. Solar is a walking 2-piece this entire series, having a night and a half. Trine Esports, they're just trying to work their way out of spawn now, pick these kills as they can, but 60 seconds left. They're just trying to get map presence now, and that's not quite the position you want to be in.
Solar does have a streak to work with. The thing is, right, Cash, you know, I look at what Trine has done here, and it's been good thus far. You know, the opening break was great. Those first 3 kills was awesome. You get the A's done. You get 2 minutes on the clock. But I think back to Cold War, more importantly than anything else, when we talked about control, it was those opening breaks that could define an entire round of control. And with how just unreliable it is inside of Vanguard here to really play control the same way, it doesn't seem like those opening breaks are as impactful this year as they were last year. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it absolutely does, and I see exactly what you mean with that. They don't seem to carry as much influence, even if you do get a good opening break. It's really how the mid-game decides to shake down, and as we saw on our screens, Evade was shooting players in the back, off spawn for Trine. Solar, of course, doing his thing, shining bright this series for the team. They have him pinned at roof spawns, and they're just having their way at the moment. There's not much else to really chat about, because Bowling Green have been so strong, and that's how you want to play. Their slaying has been good, and I know we've been commenting on that all game, but it really has also been their objective play has been so sharp as well. Trine do find an opening maybe from a possible overextension from Bowling Green, but as the pinch comes in, I expect to see this wiped.
I mean, look, you're looking at Solar, who was 16-2 previous to those 2 deaths that came back to back. Had streaks already once, was able to full streak yet again on 8 in a row. Marissa is able to find the kill into the backhand of Solar. Hayes and Evade will go ahead and pair for 2. So, again, top fragging right now, it is Solar and Evade, but at the same time, you look to the side of Trine, you've only got one player positive. Sure, you've got a few more players trying to turn their games around, but at 15-7 overall on the life count, 30 seconds left. You got maybe one good solid push left at this hill, and besides that, you don't have many lives to work with at all either, and as Evade slides around the corner, you're going to be able to find 6 and 7 in a row. So once again, it literally is anything you can do, I can do, or at least try to do better, because Solar was on 8, Evade was like, yeah, I'm not having that great of a game, now it's just on 7 in a row, make it number 8, you slide around the corner, oh my god, don't give him number 9, don't get him, thank you, just at least kill him. They're on the B point though, they're trying to get a few kills, but there's only 2 players left alive, and everybody's swarming back on it.
Here comes the trade on plat. Bowling Green do just that, and they are up 2-0 in this control, 2-0 in the series. Trine, you're staring down the barrel of, just a tough night. Again, I can't just say how good it is for Bowling Green. We've been talking about what Trine needs to do to improve, right, Corn? But
Sure.
Really, for me, Bowling Green, how sharp do they look going into the last 2 weeks of regular season, going into playoffs? How does this feel for a squad, knowing, that this is just like momentum and gas, even if you have stuff you can work on in the series, which of course they do, but just how good does it feel to come off spring break and be like, okay, you know what? Yeah, we're frying, we're flying around the map, we're feeling good. That's got to be awesome.
I mean, especially not having Mississippi State, who you lost 0-3 to previous to spring break happening. Now that you come back from that, and your schedule should be easy sailing all the way out here, and for the rest of the stage 2 specifically, you should be fine. And the amount of confidence that this roster will have going into the LCQ, it's going to be brimming to almost overflowing in a general sense of things. And look, they're already over towards B right off the rip. Sure, Calamity's going to hop into the hill, and you're finally going to be able to knock these last couple of players down. But guess who's in the back yet again? On 4 in a row. Fuller makes it number 5. Of course he does, because it's right through the barrier where you're still able to get those shots. Coming off spawn, you're just going to sit here in the hill, bait him out just a bit. You look all the way at the back. Marissa's going to be yet an unfortunate victim once again. 6 in a row, looking for yet another set of full streaks, would be the 3rd in the game. And as we switch off the POV, of course he's going to be able to get number 7. Why not give Marissa yet another reason to cry later on? 24 and 18 overall in terms of the life count right now. The Falcons have not only run away with this series, they have put an exclamation mark on the Chinese roster.
They have, and I love how comfortable in their roles that they are. Hayes at 7 and 12. Okay, not having a fantastic game, but Hayes is also just soaking up this hill time and doesn't mind, right? When you have players like Solar going 28-8, Evade 17-4, Apollo doing your thing, like everyone's comfortable doing what they need to do to win the map. If that's Hayes going 7-13 and you win a series 3-0, hey, I'll take that night in and night out. You trust the players around you turning up and doing well. We know Hayes can do that too. We've seen him on streaks tonight as well. It just seems like this team, they look so fluid around the map. It looks like they're just trusting each other. The comms are on point, as sharp as can be, and that's how you want to look going into the tail end of the regular season. But it's an orange kill feed once again. They only need 1 tick of progression. Not only that, you are up 8 lives. Snap it the way they are. The rat going off the way it is. Streaks gonna be the nail in the coffin. I'd like to think here in just a few moments this will be the series.
30 and 9 from Solar. This series has been child's play for the Falcons, but more importantly, Solar and Evade again have had incredible performances in just 3 maps alike. But again, 31 and 9 streaks are going to be used over the top. 12-7 all the way in the back. Hayes will get cut down. So you're just prolonging it at this point. You're trying to win this defensive round. If you are trying, it's going to be extremely impossible, or I shouldn't say impossible, but extremely difficult to do. Still a streak to use here from Solar. Stun going to be out. You're going to check it. You're going to be able to find one there. Teammates going to know. Everybody is hiding around. Okay, well, again, it's not over. It just feels really difficult for them to be able to do this. Even so, with the lives as close as they are, there's still 3 separating the 2. Calamity, again, has had a good series. 4 in a row. The S&D was good. The hard point was good as well. And now you're just trying to go ahead and postpone this as long as humanly possible. Calamity's there. Okay, make it 2. Okay, now it's a 5 versus 5. We slowed down 1 round more of control. Hey, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, I'm sure Solar's not going to be opposed to it, because that gives him opportunities for more kills and to bolster the statistics and bit more. And now as you fly out to the back, you got 10 seconds to make this work. 20 wall on the tank. You're going to get cut down 5-2. 2 lives remaining. 7 seconds left. 1 versus 5. All the way in the back, it's Marissa. You come off the Academy roster. You got to gun everybody off the point. The Falcons put a stamp on this series. They lick it. They send it. They're going to be moving on with a nice 3-0 sweep over the side of Trine Esports. The Thunder, once again, just was not there at all. I need to make a dog scared.
Calamity had a decent series for Trine. Marissa still played fairly well in the initial hard point and also in the search and destroy. You know, whenever you have players playing as sharp for Bowling Green that they are, everyone doing their part and doing well, it's hard when you only have 1 or 2 X Factor players at least in a given night. That was the case for Trine Esports today. I mean, we've said it every single map we've been on. Solar going 34-10. 29 non-traded kills. Just that's the job you want done by someone in that slaying role. Evade at 20-20. I mean, again, nothing else super flashy. Even Hayes going almost double negative. Still 3-0 in control. Solar is really their person that they turn to, that they really put the weight of the squad on. And by that, they still share the objective and everything like that. But whenever Solar's having a good night, this team is very hard to stop.
I mean, Cash, just think of it like this, right? You know, Solar specifically, 34-10. You look at a hard point. You know, if you saw like 25 non-traded kills to 34 kills, that would already be like, you got to fix that. But in control, where every life is important to some degree, and you have only 5 kills that you were able to trade, you gave him 29. You gave him an entire round of lives on your team for free. For free.
Exactly. I mean, it being 3 rounds, there were only 90 lives available, so he is, you know, getting over 30% of them at any sport. 30%. I mean, if I'm shooting 30% from the 3, I'm living with that. That's not too bad. But he's getting over a third of the kills available to him. What more do you want? Like you said, you're giving him 29 kills. Like you said, I love how you put that. There's so much emphasis, of course, on lives and control. You're just given a round worth for free. And that's something you have to look at. That's something Trine can look at immediately and say, this is where we need to find improvement. The S&D was the same way. The hardpoint was the same way. For Trine Esports, they've got to find a way to more consistently slay night in and night out.
Yeah. Well, for Trine, again, the control struggles are still there, prevalent as ever. You hope to fix those before the LCQ. Again, I don't think Trine Esports is in any danger of not making playoffs. I don't think they'll miss by any stretch of the imagination. However, with only 2 weeks left to get there, I know there's a roster change, and so things still need to get meshed out a bit. You still need to find maybe a little bit more chemistry, how each other are going to play around one another. But there's a lot of things to take away from the series. Don't, you know, view this as something to get in a negative mindset about, or say, oh man, this is a really hard loss to this Falcons team, because it is. It's a hard loss, but don't let that affect your mental in a negative way to where you're going to be walking away from this not really having the confidence or the want to correct your mistakes from the series, because that's at the end of the day. If you lose a series, even if you win, your number one goal should be able to learn from what you did and either try to replicate that or change it to where you can at least manifest a better tomorrow for your roster. So for Trine specifically, that is my biggest takeaway, is that either your slaying is the problem in some circumstances, but you just let the Falcons run all over you. And if you can stop that, and you can, you know, resurrect what you had before spring break, where you were relatively decent in some of your modes, I think that'll be good. Just don't go down 0-2 in a series, and you should be relatively fine. Maybe force it to a game 5, but until you fix control, you basically are in a must-win situation for maps 1 and 2.
You absolutely are, and for them it has been, believe it or not, the search and destroy where they found a bit more success. Obviously, Bowling Green kind of steamrolled in that one, but again, they showed glimmers in that hard point. They're like, when I was going back and looking at their matches, they're like one step away from having it all. Like, they just some of their hard points, it's such close score lines, where you just like, you read through it and you're like, man, they're like on the cusp of something great. And they still are. Like you said, they've got to keep their heads high, knowing that, hey, we still have some chemistry, some gelling to work on. We made this change for a reason. We believe in it. I know they're going to trust the process going forward and stuff. But like you said, a few things to sharpen up, especially for Bowling Green as well. You can look back and sharpen up on some things this series too. So much learning to do, and I still, like you said, they're not out of it by any means. I still look for Trine to make a really good run, especially with a couple weeks left in regular season, but of course in LCQ.
2-0 on the night for the Falcons. Bowling Green looking like they're in prime position to not only be a top seed in the LCQ, but get into playoffs with a relatively easy route. Trine Esports, again, I said it before, they're not really in danger of not making playoffs, but it is going to be a bit difficult, or a bit more difficult of a road to get there if they do continue to take a few more losses and suffer further down that leaderboard inside of the Tier 2 in Midwest. Either way, that's going to do it for that best of 5 series. However, we're not done here on Bravo. Neither is Alpha. One more series on Alpha. I actually believe they're in a Game 5 right now with the side of Redbird's Call of Duty and the Akron Zips, which would be a relative upset overall. But again, both of those teams have been really good all season. That's going to be for playoff seeding inside of their Tier 1. So go take a gander at that. Go make sure you're paying attention to everything on the Alpha stream. But of course, here our next match is going to be between UC Irvine and the University of New Mexico Esports. Cash, again, that's not really for a playoff qualification spot. It's more for LCQ seeding, yet again, although it is Tier 1. So stay tuned here on Bravo. Make sure you tab open Alpha if you are on your PC. If you're on your phone, well, just make sure you're coming back to a little old cornmeal and Cash after watching Alpha, because we're gonna miss you. I'll miss you.
Yeah, come back to us, please.
Please, I beg you. Blink twice if I'm okay. Blink 3 times if I need help. So we'll be back here after a break. We'll see you on the other side.